Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 45 of The Home Front. Actually, directly following Girls Night Live. I'll make this one short and sweet since we just had a nice video, about half an hour. But tonight I'm going to talk about tips for real estate investing. So please be sure to hit the like button, hit the love button, share this out. Don't be selfish with the information. Let me know that you jumped on. What's going on, Mike? What's going on, Jackson? And I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I don't want to butcher it. So I'm going to say hi. But please share this out. Like I said, don't be selfish with the information. You never know who is going to benefit from listening. I bring a little bit of information to you guys every night about real estate. Hopefully it's of value to you. So I'm just going to give you guys some tips on this article that I actually read on Real Estate Tipster. The first one is collaborate. Find great team members to help you pull off your overall vision. One person alone can handle only so much. That is so true. You need to get with some people if you're brand new to investing. Get a mentor, get in a group, learn from everyone. Get as much information as you can. You definitely want to work with people that know how to do what you're trying to do and have been successful at it. You can learn a lot from them. You cut your learning curve. Hey, Jackson, how are you? And Lewis, thanks for jumping on. Tip number 2 is know your numbers. It says it is don't get emotional about a deal. It says it's easy to get emotional about it. It is, because, for example, if you're in an auction type situation and you really think it's a great investment, a great property, then you are going to easily get excited. I don't personally participate in auctions, and I don't actually know anyone who does, but there are a lot of people that do go to auctions, obviously because it's still happening, and it's easy to get excited and emotional. And it says no matter how experienced you are, if you know your numbers, stick to them. What's up, Stephanie? Hey, Lori, thanks for jumping on. Tonight we're talking about tips that real estate investors need to know. But know your numbers. Know what your budget is for this particular property. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble real quick if you don't know, or you go above. You make the money when you buy the property, and you have to buy it at the right price. Thank you, Mike. That's very nice. Definitely showing the value. I really appreciate that. Again, this goes into knowing the information, knowing your numbers. Be fanatical about due diligence. I always encourage people to do all of your research first. It is extremely important. If you don't buy at the right price, you aren't going to make any money. You don't want to, if you're flipping, you don't want to flip a property for wages, basically. You're looking to make a lot of money. You're looking for a decent profit that's worth your time. This stuff takes time, it's stressful, and if you don't purchase it at the right price, you're not going to make any money, and you're going to end up, it's just either one, a big waste of time for you that you put a lot of time and energy into, and you're just going to end up getting frustrated. It says, try to obtain and confirm every bit of information you can about the investment, not just the physical property, but the history, potential future of revenue, operating expenses, and capital costs. Thank you, Valentine, for jumping on. What's going on this evening? I'm not going to go through this entire list of 101 tips, but I just wanted to give you guys a few tips that would be helpful. It says, be a closer, not a poser. And this is so true. It says it only takes one moment to tarnish your reputation. You can't fake it until you make it. If you can't close, don't make an offer. And that is very, very true. Don't write a bunch of offers if you can't follow through with them. One, you're entering into a legal binding contract, and you're out there trying to make a living and build a reputation. So don't just write offers haphazardly or just throwing things out there. Make sure you can back it up. You want to be professional, and my personal philosophy is if your word, if you can't follow through in your word, what do you have? You've got to have a good reputation and be able to follow through. People are going to think you're a flaker, and they're not going to want to work with you. So don't do things that you can't follow through on. The next one is model your business after those who've already done it. And this goes back to having a coach or a mentor or being in an investment group. I got into an investment group about a year ago, if it was even a year ago. I think it was just a little bit under that. And I haven't gone much, but I made good connections. And I follow a lot of people on social media that are into the same things that I'm into. I've read a ton of books. I listen to the podcasts. And you can cut your learning curve. You don't have to go pay tens of thousands of dollars to the gurus. You just have to learn the information. So getting around people that have already done it, they can tell you lessons learned. They can really help you moving forward, some things to look out for, which is why I've gotten to know so many investors on Snapchat and Facebook, because I like to learn what they've done and all those things. Like Valentine is an investor in Texas, and if you saw a couple weeks ago, I had PJ, he's a realtor and investor from Arizona. Great information that both of them have, and I know they would be willing to answer questions. I just threw you out there, Valentine, so I hope. Yes, find a mentor. Cut your learning curve. It's extremely important for you, and if you want to succeed, you can succeed faster by learning from others. Have faith, Jesus, it all works. Even make bad decisions. Yes, it does, but at the same time, the risk involved with real estate, you can lose a whole lot of money quick. So it's very important to try and learn from other people's mistakes. You don't want to have to lose everything to learn something that someone else could have told you, and maybe if you listened, then you wouldn't have to go through it. And this is a great tip, I think. Always put it in writing. Leases, addendums, amendments, notices, most basic promises. Don't do anything verbally. Always use a contract. Always write it down. I personally have had conversations in just real estate transactions, not necessarily investments, but where we agreed to something verbally, and then I said, present your addendum, and then they presented something else in the addendum. So it's very important to make sure that it all goes in writing, because if you miss something that you talked about but they didn't note it, it's going to come back to bite you in the end, and they did that for a reason. I mean, not to be negative, but most likely they left it off of that document for a reason. No, don't ever leave it up to faith. Don't leave it up to some rule of thumb or anything else. You have to know the numbers. When you're looking at investment properties, it's not just about the house, but it's also the location. Because if you're buying a property and you're going to fix it in the middle of an area whose property value is not going to be what you think this house would be worth, you have to know that. You have to know your area. So there's a lot of things that you really need to know, and get with a realtor or, like I said, another investor who knows it, who's done it. Don't just jump into things without the knowledge. You could end up really losing a lot. Valentine says, yeah, put it in writing and get people's addresses. You've had a lot of situations where I think you've had to go looking for people, and that's not good, but dealing with some of the situations I've heard about with you, I would say, yes, get their addresses. I'll do a couple more. I don't want to do an exhaustive list this evening, but don't try to learn everything. I would say that's a good tip, because you could get stuck where you're not making a move. It says gain as much general knowledge as you need to discover what makes you most excited, and then focus on that one thing. Definitely. Learn it, become an expert at that one thing, and then you can farm out the stuff that you need help on, because you can't be the jack of all trades. Well, you can know a little bit about everything, but that's not going to help you become the expert if you're just dibbling and dabbling. You know enough to be dangerous, and that's a bad thing. Stay away from Texas, a lot of criminals. Well, I think that there's a lot of criminals everywhere, Valentine. I don't think they're just in Texas. But I say know who you're dealing with. I read something today that someone said, ask the question from the beginning, and this guy was from Australia. I don't know where I was reading this, but he said, the U.S. is very transactional. So ask the question, and you'll weed a lot of people out from the beginning. If you ask them, would you be willing to wait 6, 9, or 12 months to do business with me? That will weed a lot of the people out really fast who just want instant gratification. If you're willing to get to know someone and take the time to see how they do business, and if they're willing to stick around for that, then you can develop a good business relationship. But people who want instant gratification are not the ones that I want to be working with anyway. I thought that was a great tip. What's going on, Tyrell? Thank you for jumping on. And I will give you guys one more this evening. And this is what I was just touching on. Understand how location relates to home values. It says, I've seen numerous buyers purchase properties without understanding of the value of the location, which is huge. They think that they are paying a good price based on square footage, bedroom, and bath count. There's so much more to values of homes, and the neighborhood and the location is definitely one of them. I mean, you can have a beautiful home in the middle of a not so nice neighborhood, and it's just not going to be the value that it would in another neighborhood. They think they're paying a good price, but without having a grip on how an area can dramatically affect value. It's so true. Please do your research. Don't try to just jump in head first and then you end up getting burned, and that's a good way to figure out real quick that that's not something you wanted to do. You said that's a Chinese model. I'm assuming you're talking about getting to know people and building the business model, or building relationships, learning to trust them before you do business with them. I think it's great advice because, again, we don't oftentimes take the time, the proper time that we need to get to know people and build those relationships and realize who we're really dealing with. Thank you for the loves, really appreciate it. And if you actually take the time to get to know people and how they operate, and if they're legit, then you're going to know that, learn them. Like, the whole thing is people, you do business with people that you know, like, and trust, and that's kind of like the bottom line there. Just trying to get to know one another and build those relationships. Hey, what's up, Yancy? Thanks for joining. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing this out. Really appreciate it. So I think we're going to cap it off there for the evening. I went through quite a few tips. Basically, bottom line is, know your numbers. Do your due diligence. Do your research. Know who you're dealing with. Try to cut your learning curve by getting a mentor or a coach, or just learning from others who have done it before. That's the important thing. You can pick up a ton of books. You don't have to, if you don't personally know anyone or you don't know how to get started, you can pick up books. There's a ton at the bookstore. That's my favorite spot on the weekends. It gives me my alone time, and I can read those books in 24 hours. And I've been known to do that with the really exciting Robert Kiyosaki books. But I appreciate you guys joining me this evening. Thank you so much, and thank you, Eric. Any topics that you might want to know about, or I can help you answer, I can answer questions for you, please let me know, and I would be happy to expand on some information that you're looking for. Or if I don't know it, get with someone who does, and we'll do an interview. I love Rich Dad Poor Dad. My favorite one is the Cash Flow Quadrant. I think I read that one in a couple of hours. But thanks again for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow.